Alright, Economics Week 4 recap. We are finally getting through Unit 1 and finishing up with the economic basics. Now, we can't talk much more about basics and going back to Adam Smith and his entire Wealth of Nations thesis that has so changed the economic thought of the world. We talked in class about how he observed a pin factory and how at the beginning of his little scenario, people were individually making it from start to finish. When he said specialize, it changed the entire thing. Specialization, the concept of laissez-faire economics, government keeping its hands off, is so crucial to the importance of Adam Smith because they are political themes and economic themes that are very much with us today. Now, along with that, we talked about absolute and comparative advantage, and the scenario I gave you in class was between Betty and Jim, who type at very different speeds. We obviously know that Betty can absolutely type faster than Jim because she can type 120 words per minute with 0 errors. She has the absolute advantage. However, I told you that Betty is a lawyer, Jim is simply a secretary, and that what you have to pay them per hour is different. Now, given the fact that it takes Betty half the time, but it is very, very much cheaper to pay Jim to do it, even though it takes longer, Jim has the comparative advantage. In economics, the comparative advantage is what matters. It is the bottom line. We finally entered into what everyone knows comes with economics. We talked about the laws of supply and demand, and you took the oath about learning all the determinants, and you know that you have to have those memorized for Wednesday's test. Now, graphs just like this are going to be on that test, and you're going to be given a scenario, and you're going to have to show me which is going to move, supply or demand curve, with that arrow, and then labeling it either demand 2 or supply 2, and showing me how it changes. The variables are simple. For demand, you have to know that it is the number of consumers, income in relationship to normal goods, and income in relationship to inferior goods, preferences of buyers, price of related products in regards to substitutes and complements, and of course expected future prices by consumers, expected future supply by consumers. On the supply side, number of suppliers will determine how much is out there. Costs of creating a product will determine that. Physical availability of resources, technology available, and expected future prices by suppliers. You took the oath, all my members of the Royal Order of Tonstoffel. You need to know these for the test. We also talked about that strange word elasticity, and we talked about how it can be stretchy. And remember, that is responsiveness to price change about how much is now going to be the quantity demanded. Remember, price change does not alter demand, it changes quantity demanded. You need to understand the basics of the elasticity, and I gave you that 5-part test that goes along with it. Make sure you know that for the exam. We ended the week talking about the income effect, and I used the example of how Eddie Bashas figured out the income effect by owning Food City, Bashas', and AJ's, and the fact that your income level and what you have is going to determine which of these you go to, because obviously the products are going to be very different based on which store you go to. Income effect and along with purchasing power are important concepts to understand going into the exam. Any questions, do not hesitate to email.